Dreyfuss.
Oh God, this is
Nolan North.
Oh, this is like what it looked like. Yeah, there's nobody up there. Yeah, it's like when I did stand up. There's nobody here.
Howdy.
Oh, put your clothes on.
Come on, man. There are kids here.
At least film it.
Sorry. Now we've got microphones set up, 2 on this side, 2 on this side. We want to get some questions from the audience, so please get up to the microphone, bring us your best questions, because Lord knows I'm not going to ask you the best ones. I'm gonna save the good ones for you guys. Yeah, you're up there.
I just got off a plane. I took a 12:30 a.m. flight, and I slept in this. I'm being serious. Oh, I can taste color.
Hey, you were a fan of a few things. There are a lot of people out here fans of work of yours. You watched a little show called Star Trek. You were
yeah.
Do I have that right?
Yeah, I was in I did the movie.
You were the best part of Into Darkness.
Into Darkness, yeah. Into Vengeance.
Into Vengeance. He was on the Vengeance. Into Darkness.
Yeah, no, it was, but if people know the story, it was just that J.J. Abrams, I did another job with him, and he was a big fan of Uncharted. He found out I was Nathan Drake, and I knew Bruce Greenwood from doing Young Justice. He was Batman. And at the end of the session, JJ's like, I owe you. And I said, well, put me on the Enterprise with Greenwood. He goes, hey, you want to be in the movie? I was like, what, just like that? He said, yeah. You can't play Kirk, but we'll find you something. And yeah, so it was like 2 weeks for this. Power coming online, sir. There you go. That's it.
And we'll carry those words with us for the rest of our lives.
Yeah, no, but I was always a fan of the show. I just, I would watch it with my dad. And, I got to meet Bill Shannon. Call me Dad. A few times, and it was just really cool. Just it's so strange growing up in New England, where I grew up, and California was a place where nobody eats McDonald's, and the football games would be on. It's dark on the East Coast. It was daytime there. I couldn't understand that because I was very stupid. I'm still not that bright. So it was just, it was so cool just to be part of this industry now and know people that I grew up watching. To come to these conventions, I'm just as Tim Curry. And I got to work with him a couple times, but it's Tim Curry, and he's right there.
Well, I got good news for you. In about an hour, he's going to do his first ever convention Q&A down the hall.
Is he really?
Yeah, I mean, you could just bring all your fans down the hall.
Oh, no, I'm too big for that now. Funny story about Tim, though. He won't remember this, because who am I? But we were doing, it might have been Young Justice. I don't remember. I know where it was. I know the studio, so it might have been Young Justice. And I just kept looking at him. We kind of stand in these at the mics and the mic stands in kind of a row, and you would be the engineer and the directors, and through the glass. And finally we're on a little bit of a break, and I said, and he's just reading his script, and it's funny because he's like this. So I see him like profile, and I just kind of go, hey Tim, I got to tell you, it's ruined clowns forever for me. It scared me to death. It actually became a bit in the end of Uncharted 2. That's from my personal experience. I said, that scared that movie, and he just kind of smiled, and he's reading the pages, and I said, so you ruined that for me, but that was a brilliant performance. And he went, yes, clowns are horrible. And he would not stop staring at me. And I said, well, now they're worse. And he never, and then he just finally went right back down to the script and never said another word to me.
What got you interested in acting? I mean, were you acting from an early age, doing school plays, that kind of thing? I mean, did you get thrown into it backwards? How did you get
your process of elimination? I've done every job there is. I think I always. There was a show years ago called Make Me Laugh. It was this variety show at night, and family functions. The family would get together and we would do it. And I was the only kid who could make the adults laugh, usually by doing impressions of
my uncle, from Danvers. He's actually from Peabody, Mass, but this is,
And it was just, so I would just start doing him.
And he was, I didn't realize most of the accent was due to the 16 Pabst Blue Ribbons he had drank before dinner. And I learned that later that alcohol makes things much funnier. So I wasn't that funny, it's just my family was a family full of drunks. Who literally would drive to Canada to drink because they were 18. That was a thing. Drive to Montreal from New England. Like, oh my God, it's like there's no laws there. That's a quote. That's my cousin Paul. You're welcome. Yeah, no, so acting just kind of, it just sort of, I don't know, sometimes I don't know how I got here. It's not something I ever planned on doing, but over time it just became, I don't know, they just hired me once and then it just happened again and again, and then just one day I was like, filling out a form, they're like, occupation, I'm like, oh crap, I'm an actor. That's what I don't pour drinks anymore, so so that was it.
Well, no, in the voice acting world, a lot of people know the work that you do. They don't know necessarily the entire process that's a part of it. You got a voice director that, depending on the way that it's set up, it's maybe a bunch of you around microphones, sometimes just one of you. What's the collaborative relationship with a voice director? Like someone like Charlie Adler, here.
Charlie Adler's here. Get a chance to meet Charlie Adler.
Well, actually, Charlie is hosting Tim Curry's Q&A. Sneaked it from me.
He's hysterical. Rocco's Modern Life. I mean, he's a great actor too. He's a Broadway actor. He's done great. He's the most energetic man and director that I've ever worked with. We do a show. He directs me in a children's show called Blaze and the Monster Machines for Nickelodeon, which nobody claps unless there's a child here.
I said, come on, count with me. We'll start at 10 and count by 5s.
And it's like, I'm a little truck, and it's 5 seasons, you know what I mean? So, and Charlie directs that, and it's great. That the rapport you have with your directors is important. I've been fortunate to never really had a problem with any of them. Probably because I think I come from kind of an athletic background, and the director's your coach. You don't talk back to your coach. You don't pull ego on your coach, or they make you run, or skate. Whatever you guys do up here.
Take a knee and listen.
Yeah, so the director's always been like, hey, let's try it like this. They've always been, everyone I've worked with has always been very, like you said, collaborative. I'm like, okay, we're going to get it the way it's written, then you do what you want, and then we'll tweak from there, and and then ultimately they may have 5, 6 different takes of a certain line or a certain scene, and then they edit whatever they want. That's the tough part about doing on-camera stuff, because you'll do a scene, you're like, oh, that second one was great, and then they use the third one, and you're like, no, I didn't like that one. My eyebrows looked funny.
There are a few of you lined up. Go ahead and line up. I got one more for him, and we'll turn it over to you guys. Mention that you're a fan of Star Trek, you're a fan of a variety of different things. Something in particular that I know you're a fan of that comes up when you guys do these Princess Bride readings tomorrow morning, 11 a.m. over at Constitution Hall, by the way, if you didn't know. You're a bit of a Python fan.
Oh yeah, Monty Python? Yeah. Well, it's funny, it's like I grew up watching BBC. It was usually on PBS, but I mean, when I was a kid there was ABC, CBS, NBC, then 2 UHF channels, which you guys don't even know what that is, out of Boston, 56 and 38, Creature Double Feature on Saturdays, and PBS. There was that was it. I'm old enough to remember when the TV turned off. They'd play they'd play the national anthem, there'd be a flag waving in the breeze, and that's when the evil demons would come out and kill you. So you had to be in bed before. My father actually told me that. He said, this is when people get murdered. So, unless you're in bed. So I was never a night owl. What a bastard. No, I'm being serious. No, I was a huge Python fan. Python, Benny Hill. Anything Alec Guinness was in, Richard Burton, I was very much of an Anglophile, but Python's humor, it was like the first time I ever saw humor being done with, like, they would just cut to something and go, and that was sketched by an architect, and then that guy's gone. And like, it hits you like that. And I think if you look at Catherine Tate show, who's here.
Yeah.
By the way, please don't tell her I mentioned her because I totally fanboyed on her in Dallas. The Catherine Tate show, she's Britain's Carol Burnett, in my opinion. She's brilliant. And so most people know her from Doctor Who and some other work. She's done so much, but she had her own variety show, sketch comedy, where she does, it's the funniest. And her Little Britain, these guys, the comedy would hit you and be gone. It was quick. It's not like the Saturday Night Live sketches that run, for 18 minutes. It's like, oh, you're beating the joke.
Yeah, once you've seen Catherine Tate's show, you cannot get "I'm not bothered" out of your head.
I'm above it. I'm above it. No, by the way, I did that to her, and she's like, "Oh, thank you." And I was like, "Oh my God, I'm doing what people do to me."
I did the thing where I said
I don't
lines to her. No.
I did. Dallas, and she saw me today. She's like, "Oh no." I literally looked at her and said, "I promise I won't stalk you this weekend, but I will."
But I mean, what are you doing for dinner?
I will.
All right, hey, see, all I had to do was say line up, and we got Catwoman, we got a bunch of people over here. Let's start with this gentleman with the sharp vest and tie combo going.
Thank you for noticing.
Dig it.
So, my question for Nolan here. Obviously, Nathan Drake, big role. I was wondering if before and after there were roles that you wanted to get or missed out on that you would want to talk about.
No, there really aren't any. I've been really fortunate. I mean, I get that question a lot, like, but no, there haven't been things. I mean, first of all, you don't know what you missed out on. It's not like someone sends you a letter and go, by the way.
I mean, a lot of these
could have been.
A lot of these come to you not as like, the name of like a superhero game or cartoon or something. It's the Potato Show, or, it's.
Well, yeah, but I mean. I don't ever covet another role. Like, I'm a fan of the people I work with and the people I get to. I know Frank Welker. Mic drop. I mean, it's like he was a hero of mine, and then I got to meet him, and I geeked, and then I got to know him, and then he's like, "You want to play golf sometime?" I'm like, "Yeah, I love it." And now he gave me the great. We did Transformers together, and he nicknamed me Smoke. I was Smokescreen. He's like, "Hey, Smoke, you want to go hit the ball tomorrow?" I'm like, "You talking about golf, Frank?" Thank you. I'm punchy. Things are going to get dirty, I guarantee it. No, but it's really cool. So I don't really covet anybody else's role. I don't know what I've missed out on, but I've been really fortunate. So I'm just gonna say thank you and just quietly keep working.
Right. Maybe a slight alteration on that one. Is there one of these franchise character parts that you've gotten where, whether immediately or once you're actually in the booth, you're going, "Oh, I'm now doing the voice of that character that I read comic books of when I was a kid, or watch cartoons of, or like maybe a role that you've taken on that's been kind of a oh, how am I going to do this?"
No, I don't really have that. I was always a fan of Looney Tunes, which was one guy, Mel Blanc, and Tom and Jerry, which really had just that great scream when something would land on his throat. Ah! It was like, it's like a horn. I don't know what they mixed that with, but it was great. So no, I would do Troy Baker and we do the Lego Justice League, that kind of thing. And I think it's so funny because he has kind of a Christian Bale type Batman, and I'm doing full-blown, Christopher Reeve Superman. All right then, Lois, and it's so. I mean, it's not the roles; it's the people I get to work with now. I mean, it's just I've been doing this a long time. I had somebody come up to me in a session the other day, and they just said, "I just want to introduce myself. I'm just a huge fan. You made my childhood." I was like, How old are you? And he's like, "I'm 27. I was like, "What?" I had to get my wallet out. I'm like, "Oh shit, you are that old." But drinking the blood of baby goats keeps me young. Wow, I need sleep. Who's next?
Over here.
Hi. A big fan for like 10 years, so on the fact of you being old. I've always wondered, for this whole time, Your name's Nolan North, so I was wondering if you ever ask them if they want to see Nolan South.
You brought the game. This guy came to play.
Oh, he did.
I was curious.
Haven't heard that one.
It's legitimately shocking, yeah.
I still remember this one. North, south, east, west. Nolan is a big fat pest. What's up, loser? Welcome to high school. Oh, and by the way, my wife is way hotter than his empty apartment. You know what the coolest thing with names is, though? My son one day looked, and he goes, wow, can you believe Kanye named his daughter North? It's like, if I marry her, her name would be North North. I said, you will never marry into that family. I mean, I like Kanye, but come on. On the other side, whew. How did she get famous, Dad? When you're older, son. Over here.
Hi there.
Hello.
I actually have a question not for me, but a friend of mine. She can be there because she lives in Russia, obviously. And a question about Assassin's Creed, actually. In Black Flag, we have a Diaries of Desmond Miles. So, was it hard to record it? Did you feel any emotions about these diaries or not?
Yes. You know, it's a lot of people may have heard this story, but I found out that Desmond was dead on Twitter. People sending me saying, "Oh, we're so upset. Are you upset that Desmond died?" And I'm like, well, what? What do you mean? And then, you know, I always get a copy of thing, and I woke my son and I'm like, play video games. What happens at the end? But yeah, then it got all, and they realized they had never shot a death scene, and they never told me. It wasn't on purpose. Somebody just didn't make the connection, and nobody told me. So those audio diaries were almost kind of like an afterthought to kind of wrap up his storyline. And yeah, it was a bit sentimental, but I thought it was also a little. It was exposition, and I don't like that. I don't like when it's like, "Dear Dad, I know what you're thinking. You're thinking," and it's just, you know, and then you wanted this, but you know I did this, and I'm reading these paragraphs, and they put me in a head cam, you know, so I had the facial capture, and I'm going, "What are we doing?" I'm like, you know, my feelings aren't hurt. It's your game. It's just like, no, we only do this. So yeah, it was sentimental. Especially, it's become more sentimental over the years because so many fans come up and they go, "We want Desmond back." And I'm like, "I do too. That job paid well." and honestly, all joking aside, Assassin's Creed was one of my favorite series I ever did. And I love Roger Craig Smith's a friend of mine. I thought he was brilliant as Ezio. And that's the thing though. Like I did play that game a little bit, and I always liked throw hatchets at George Washington or whatever. You know, just don't be Ezio. Like, otherwise, you're still go dead. He got a bit whiny at the end, but bring him back, and maybe he'll do something special. Apple of Eden, come on, Tower of the Player, whatever. Bring me back.
We got somebody up at that top mic.
Oh, his mic's up top.
Oh, okay. Popular question for it is live-action Uncharted movie. Who would play the main character of Uncharted? Nathan Fillion, Nathan Fillion, Nathan Fillion. Here's my question. Why not you, Nolan North? You did mocap, you did the action, everything. Your voice as well. Why not you act it?
I'll get right on that.
Nolan, when you get back to Hollywood, to your office is where you run everything.
Yeah, no, you know what, it's funny is, I really don't mind not, it's a simple fact, it needs to be, they want a movie star. That's what opens movies in Asia, everywhere, all over the world, movie star. It's just it's the business. And I always thought, when the funny thing about the movie is when they first started talking about the movie, Hugh Jackman was considered, because this was over 10 years ago. I've seen it go through all these different iterations. Going back to that Star Trek, I worked with Chris Pine, and I always thought he would have been the best because he's got the charm, the charisma. He's fit, he's smart, he's funny. Chris Pratt turned down the role, but Star-Lord is pretty much Drake in space. He's just so. But I've made 4 movies. I don't need it. Whatever. I got other things. I got Con Man now with Nathan Fillion and Alan Tudyk. That's September 9th on Sci-Fi. You got picked up?
I want to say that the cross-licensing deal is such that I think it's going to air on Space in Canada. I think.
I don't know.
I don't know. I'm from Texas, so what do I know?
If we do shoot a season 3, Sci-Fi shoots in Canada, so I think I have to find a place in Vancouver. I think they're looking to do it. If they do it, I don't know. I know very little about that. I know very little about anything. Where am I? So which mic do you go to next?
How you doing?
Good. Who's next?
I was wondering.
This is a 2-part question. Okay.
Because you do voice acting and all that, are there any scenes that are like ad-lib that end up in the final game, or like any fun mistakes that happened that ended up in the final cut?
My whole career is a fun mistake. That's great. You just gave me the title of my autobiography. It'd be just a big fun mistake. Well, yeah, no. So much of Uncharted, it was brilliantly scripted, all of them. But we always had that opportunity to go and do, even in just little takes, to try something different, add our own little flavor to it. And I think the best example is at the end of Uncharted 2. We had done that scene where we walked to the cliff, and then Amy Hennig just looked and she said, "Okay, I want you guys to just do whatever you want." And we went to the end, they had called action, and we just started doing that little stroll, and Emily Rose, she said, "Okay, scale of 1 to 10, how scared were you?" 4. And just 4. And that whole thing was one take, and that's what ended up. We didn't, because we couldn't do it again, because nobody was like writing down what we said. It was all off the top of our head. But it was a testament to the rapport and the chemistry that we had. Matter of fact, one of the coolest things that came out of the Uncharted series is she did a show called Haven that was shot in Nova Scotia. And the writers, the producers were big fans of Uncharted. They knew that we had this really cool camaraderie, and they wrote a script. It's kind of like if you've seen it, it's like a Twilight Zone, modern day Twilight Zone. And basically everyone in the town falls into this mysterious sleep. We're there, just walking down the street, and their car just drop. And the only person, her character's awake trying to figure out what's going on, and then I show up, going, "Why is everyone asleep?" And the whole episode is her and I figuring out, and there's a nod where I've lost my memories, and we find through my ID where I live, and, "Oh, look, I'm a doctor of archaeology." Wink, wink. It's just like, there's all kinds. One of the guy writers went to the University of North Carolina, where I went to college, so he had like these Tar Heel references. My character, but it was so much fun because TV show wrote an episode for me. It was just like bizarre, but it was great. It was the lowest rated episode ever. No, I'm kidding. It was probably the best.
Yeah.
But yeah, no. I'm a big fan of ad-libbing and improv, and the best improv and ad-libbing comes out of things that have the strongest scripts. It's kind of like a tree. You have to have that good foundation, a good trunk, and then you can branch off from there. But it's one of my favorites. It's playtime. It's professional, paid playtime, and it's a blast.
We got somebody up the mic up there.
Hey Nolan, I'm a big fan of all the Uncharteds. I've played all of them except for The Lost Legacy. Does Nathan Drake make a cameo in them? Like in any of the cupping ones, or?
No. No. No.
It's your character.
No, but you know what? It would be really kind of anticlimactic to have Drake come back like I'm with my family and daughter on the boat. Goodbye, everyone. Good night and good luck. Then I'm back with, you know, just two skanks. Nadine beats the crap out of me. No comeuppance? Really? Oh, then she goes out with Chloe. They're gonna run around together? Fine. I used to like those questions. Chloe or Elena? I'm like, why not both? People are like, what? But, you know, gotta be me. That's not me. Elena. But Chloe for a weekend in Vegas. Dirty.
Over here.
Oh, you're gonna read it. Oh.
Oh, okay. All right, we'll go over here.
That was so sweet. He's answering his email.
Yeah. Some very important TPS reports to keep up on.
Oh, okay.
Hello again.
Hello, how are you?
Good.
Good. I was just gonna ask, what would you say has been the most challenging movie, whatever, that you've worked on?
Mafia 3.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is where everybody goes. Mafia 3, I played a despicable racist in 1967, and it was some of the hardest material I've ever had to do. We did a lot of motion capture for it, and it was you read it on the page, and as an actor, you're like, I want to challenge myself with this. This is, you know, it's going to be tricky, and it's going to be, it's going to be, I mean, I was Remy Duval, and he just big old smiling boy who's just like the leader of what their version of the Ku Klux Klan would be in this little town. And, the other actors were just, I remember we went to do the motion capture, and I went to say my first line, and I went, I'm going to need about 10 minutes. And I just grabbed the actor, I said, and they were like, it's cool, and we went over and talked, because it was, when you have to portray hatred like that, and say, you say the N-word, that they, like, to someone's face, and you have to convey that hatred. And I'm proud to say I just don't know that kind of hatred. I don't think anybody in this room knows that kind of hatred. I mean, we evolve. I mean, we're all different shades of gray, I guess, but it's like, it was really uncomfortable until I went and sat with them, and I realized I needed to have this conversation with these guys, because this was brutal. And I'm not the kind of guy who's like, yes, it was very difficult, but I didn't expect it to be like that. But when you go and it's time, you go, you just zone in, and that's what acting is. It's just make-believe, and it's playtime. But it becomes very real when you're in that moment. And again, I don't like to give that actor speak. It's not that. It's like, I always say this, kids playing in the backyard, pirates. They are pirates. And if somebody comes out, you hungry? Yeah, peanut butter and jelly. And they don't go, damn, back to zero, everyone, Mom, don't break my center. But it's very real for them. And that's when you're in the zone, it's pretty good. And I went to say this stuff, and the stuff I had been working on rehearsing, when you're saying it to another person, this is I need to talk about this. And I actually talked to Alan Tudyk, because Alan Tudyk did 42, and he did this whole unbelievable racist rant as one of the managers of the other team when Jackie Robinson's up to the plate. I called him after, and we had a long talk about it too, because all kidding. I'm not, all kidding aside, I love to joke around with these things, but that was the most difficult thing I've ever done, because it just, it's just something that is not in my heart. I mean, I have friends of all color and all creeds. I mean, that's a great thing about Hollywood, and especially in voice-over stuff. You can play anybody. I got black friends who play white guys. I got, white guys who play Asian guys. And it's not like that's the voice, it's just the different. And Kevin Michael Richardson did the Cleveland show.
And he plays Cleveland Jr. And he also plays the little redneck across the street. It's one guy, and a big black guy. It's just, and he's the teddy bear. He's my buddy. And it's just, and you see, it's cartoons. It's just entertainment. But yeah, it was a gross feeling. It was like, taking the Silkwood shower after. It was heavy. It was heavy, and I'm not like a guy who gets into heavy stuff like that. It just was like, yeah. But a cool game and an important game, historical context. Have I said too much?
No, man. You said a lot of great stuff. If you'll indulge me a little follow-up to
here we go.
Ease us into the nice stuff.
I got to get back to funny. Yeah. This is getting weird.
There's this wonderful community of voice actors, and there are a lot of you that are doing those difficult parts from different angles and that sort of thing. Have you found yourselves, especially in the time that we're living in, having conversations about the responsibility of the way that you're, portraying interactions in shows? I mean, you guys hang out, you're working together all the time, you talk about this kind of stuff, and the responsibility, especially of roles like that.
Well, that was in particular thing, because the idea is it follows actual events. I mean, there's parts where we're talking about Lyndon Johnson, so it was based in a concrete historical time, and you can't ignore that. If you ignore history, it repeats itself. And gaming has become really sophisticated now, and this is one of those games that wanted to make a statement and go, you can learn, you can be entertained, it's going to be a fun game, shoot 'em ups, you're going to do this stuff. It's going to be a game, but why not learn something too? And one of the guys I was working with said, a lot of kids may not know about this. They may not ever get to learn about this in school. But they think, why can't a game teach about history? My hope is that somebody might have played that game and go, oh, that's rough. That didn't really happen. And then they go find out that. That's what blew me away, is like the things I said, people have said those things and meant it. And some still do. And hopefully, I think it's just time will tell, but I just want to get back to that Star Trek part, dude with like, I don't know, testicles on his head. It's like, you're accepted too, bald man.
Yeah, I
told you I'd get back to the funny.
Yeah, well, we're going to get back to the funny stuff, but I wanted to thank you for talking about that, because especially as recently as a couple weeks ago, some bad stuff happening in the world, and I love that we're all able to come to a place like this and allow me to transition us back into the funny stuff by saying, you read for Mickey Mouse? Do I have that right?
Wow. That's your segue?
It's the easiest.
Oh boy, yes I did. I almost got it too.
Best job I never got. Yeah, I did. There was a time when they were talking about doing that, and my wife was like, I'm going to get a shirt. She's not. I don't know what that meant. She could still get the shirt. Yeah, I did. Yeah, it's a weird business. You go from like one extreme, like this conversation. It went from one extreme to yes.
Now you found my segue.
Yeah,
That's what I was talking about.
Okay. Yeah, he's quick. No, it's funny because I came home one day and she said, "How was work?" And I said, "It's good. It's good." It's kind of a rough voice. And she said, "What were you today?" I said, "I was a Viking beaver." And she just stopped. She was like making something. She goes, "Couldn't be more proud." And I was like, "Yeah, well, it pays for this house, woman." I think we're supposed to. Breadwinners.
You know what? I'm going to go to Catwoman next.
Okay. You don't want to get the people.
No, I'm going to go.
We want
best costume in the room, Catwoman.
We won't run on time on Catwoman.
My dad is a really big fan of Uncharted, and the more and more I do research, I find out all these different roles that you've been in. And when I found out that you've been in Batman doing the voice of Penguin in Black Mask, I had to wear this costume.
That's all right.
My question is...
I'm sorry, actually, I'm having trouble hearing you on that mic. Could you come up here for a second? Just use my mic. Just come up here. Come up on stage. Here, yeah.
Her dad likes Uncharted, so I gotta be... Okay, Catwoman, go ahead.
My question was, it's kind of similar to some other people, like, you've done a lot of voice acting. Is there any major challenges for different roles? And especially for Uncharted, when you guys did like the tracking for like the animation and like everything. I watched like a little bit of like the behind the scenes and stuff, and you said that it's changed the way that they do certain things. What are some of the major changes in voice acting that you think would be?
Well, I know what you're talking about. Like Uncharted had the motion capture.
Adapt to sort of thing.
Well, acting's acting. So, but I think one of the cool things with motion capture started, what I do is kind of the silly, you're just the puppet. But what was interesting for me is just to watch how a company like Naughty Dog just learned the capabilities of the PlayStation, for example. And and Bungie with eXpo, whatever the console is. But in particular with Uncharted, going from the first game, there's a great thing where there's a thing where Eddie Raja is coming at us and we're in a Jeep. They rented a Jeep and put it on the motion capture stage in Uncharted 1. And we jumped in it, and they rented it for the day. It had mouse droppings in it. It smelled like urine. It was awful. Not my urine. That would be weird. It was Emily Rose's urine. She said, it's mine, this is mine. Oh God, somebody filmed that, she's gonna see that, and I'm dead. Uncharted 2 came along, and the same Jeep shows up. The same Jeep shows up in Uncharted 2. But there's no Jeep, because they realized we can build a Jeep out of these wooden boxes to make it look like a Jeep. Fast forward to Uncharted 3. We really don't need it to look like a Jeep. We just digitally do that anyway. So how about we just have it like a bench, and there's a steering wheel, and then you guys you see where the rails are, but now it looks nothing like. By Uncharted 4, it was 2 chairs and a steering wheel.
So basically the budget lowered the further and further the games went.
The budget went up, but so did my salary. But it was interesting. It's how they learned the capabilities of that machine. If you look at the Uncharted Drake's Fortune and that game, and then look at Uncharted 3, it's the same machine. It's just the geniuses at that company figuring out how to get more and more information onto that machine. And they're so good. The artists, the programmers, the designers. Everybody, they're so good. They're much better at their job than I am at mine. But I get to come talk to people, and they're back in the cubicle, busting their butts, making it look the way they do. And I think it's a testament to everybody. I mean, think about it. Even this, when I got into this, game design, programming, that wasn't a college degree. It's a college degree now. So the last 10, 15 years, it's become like a real thing. I mean, video games, when I was a kid, I needed quarters and a ride.
I think they actually have a segment here where you can actually use the the old arcade games and put quarters in them.
Yeah, they're terrible. I tried to do Galaga again, or one of those Space Invaders. I'm like, really? Hours at this, what am I doing? It's not as cool anymore.
Let's hear it for Cameron, everybody.
Thank you.
Make sure the penguin don't fall out.
Told you it was full of cheap tricks.
Make sure the penguin don't know where you've been, Catwoman. Nice right.
Right over here.
Yeah, I've got
caught up on your email.
No, it's what I'm asking.
No.
Okay, but I've got a question and a line request. Before you were famous as Nathan Drake, you were a major character in a police game series by the developers of BioShock in a title called SWAT 4, portraying a SWAT officer named Anthony Girard. Actually, there's a spiritual sequel in development right now called Ready or Not that's shaping up to be a modern SWAT 4. With all the experience you've gained as Nathan Drake, would you be willing to lend your voice and motion capture to this new tactical police game now that you've proved you know how to run and jump like crazy, plus load an MP5 submachine gun from empty?
Yes.
Next question.
You know what's funny?
Line request,
You know what's funny about that? I was at one of the strangest con experiences I've ever had. A guy came up with a bunch of a bunch of games. He said, I only getting one. And he said, bet nobody's brought this to you. And he pulls out SWAT 4. I was like, wow, God, I haven't seen this. This is one of the earliest games I did. This is great. He said, yeah, do the voice. And I went, God, I don't even remember. I mean, this is so long ago. What do you mean you don't know the voice? and then I'm like looking around for the cameras. What? Oh, no, I mean, you have to understand this is probably 12 years ago that I did this game. I don't know. It's kind of a New York thing, like, yeah, okay, you mean like, he was the commander, yeah, because I don't know, 50 Cent was on, so he's probably a New Yorker like this. He goes, that sounds nothing like it. It's more like this, it's like, do it like this. Hey, where are we going over there? I'm like, what? Do it like that. Hey, we're going over there. And like, I'm sorry, I don't know what you want. He said, you know what, I want my money back. I went, yeah, give me money. I'm sorry, I SWAT 4. He goes, yeah, I should be. And he just walked away. Like, look. Sergeant Gerard was like the tiny character. That's like somebody getting, pissed at God, I'm trying to think of a character that would be that minor in Uncharted. There's too many memorable characters. It's like Soldier 7 in Call of Duty. Remember him? No! And clearly he was a psychopath, but I mean,
I was just hoping that maybe you could order us in your best police voice to put your hands up now.
Are you the guy? Put your hands up. I don't know. Go check out NCIS. I did Officer Luciati. Show me your hands now! On camera. Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Capitol Beltway in Washington, D.C. was a mall in Valencia, California. Seriously. It's 108 degrees.
They're telling us we've got to wrap up, but we don't want to wrap up before we give $200 of EB Games credit to somebody. So
give it to me.
Give it to. Well, there's no number on your seat.
Is there money in there?
No one. If I pretend that there is, will you actually?
No, what do we do? What
so you pull one out of each. While he's doing that, quick little bit of business in this room. Richard Dreyfuss is up next. If you're a VIP, you can hang out. Otherwise, you'll need to exit the room, and they'll bring you back in.
Richard Dreyfuss?
Richard Dreyfuss is going to be in this room.
What? Please tell me you're here for Richard Dreyfuss, not me. Because he's
going to just hang out backstage and wait for Mr. Holland to show up.
Oh my God. Okay, so out of the nacho chili cheese.
So look at your seat numbers.
Look at your seat number. I am looking at seat 3.
Okay, it's going to be that's E. It's in row E. And then
it's upside down.
Yeah, there we go.
It's E.
There we go. So it's row E. Row seat number.
Seat number.
Think about this. Nathan Drake is giving you $200.
That's not my money. Right?
It's not his money.
27.
827. There we go.
Yeah, there you go.
$200, Richard. Thanks so much to the wonderful people at Act 2 Popcorn. Now, you're here the rest of the weekend, right?
Yes, I am.
So he's here the rest of the weekend. If you didn't get a chance to ask your question here, go and see him up in the autograph hall and ask him up there.
Yeah, please do. I have lots of answers.
And tomorrow morning at 11 a.m., Princess Bride with the rest of the Twisted Tunes folks.
Can't wait. So much fun.
Start stretching out your silly walk now.
Drop your mic. Drop your
walkie. Let's hear it one more time for Nolan North, everybody.